everyone, and welcome to the CxO Real Talk Breakfast Show, where we get real with C-levels, entrepreneurs, marketers, and more. I'm Salwa, your host for this podcast. And for today's episode, I'm joined by a very, very special guest, which is Misha of Natalie, Kniese. So, Misha is the co-founder and also the managing director of Natalie, Kniese, and is an entrepreneur for over 12 years already. So she used to study fashion merchandise and has won even a business planning competition in college. And on the plus side, she also tutors math, which is just incredible, isn't it? So she is truly a beauty with brain, as you can see here. So I'm very, very excited to have you on our show today. And for our viewers on YouTube and also Spotify, I think you can see that we have a very different setup from our usual one because we are in Misha's very own home. So it's such a lovely place. So without further ado, Misha, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience?
Thank you, Salwa. That was a very, very nice introduction. So I'm Misha. I am the managing director of Natalie, Kniese. We help people communicate more effectively, and so that's what we're focused on doing now, to build more powerful speakers, hopefully.
That's great. That would be really great for me as well as a host, and I think I have a lot to learn from you as well, and also the audience, if anyone wants to learn more about public speaking and also possibly networking as well, and maybe go on a journey towards becoming an entrepreneur. So, without further ado, I would like to ask you the first question, which is, I heard that the company came to be during the pandemic. So, can you let us know more about how the company was born and then how you overcame the hurdles as your process towards like building the company during the pandemic, basically?
Sure. Natalie Kniese is what some people may call a COVID baby.
Okay.
So we started during the pandemic 3 years ago. At the time, all of us didn't have jobs, but we were suffering a little bit because we all had to stay home, right? So we were thinking, what could we do with our skills to help the community? So we started doing group workshops for communication, and we wanted to develop people personally and on a professional level. So thankfully, we evolved after, and now we do corporate trainings, and we have big names from the industry. So we've just trained Burberry, we've done trainings for Shell, AIA, and more. Thankfully, it's been quite a journey, but it's been good.
Wow, that's incredible. I'm very curious to know why you guys chose to focus on like public speaking. Why do you think that it's very essential for people, especially in this day and age?
Public speaking is super essential. You use communication for it's actually the most essential skill in everyday life. If you think about it, you use it to influence, to persuade, to build relationships. As now doing the interview, we're communicating. Even if you want to sell something to make money, you need communication. So if you have to use it every day, why not up our game and communicate at a better level? So I think that is the main thing why you should really, really be doing well at communicating.
I wonder, since so far as you have basically gone through these past few years about teaching public speaking to other people and like building their communication skills, what do you think people really struggle most when it comes to like communication, and like how can they build it to be better, not just in public speaking but generally in interpersonal talks, just like
I think the main thing is a lot of people have a lot of anxiety when it comes to public speaking. It's the main issue, and a lot of people have a lot of self-doubt before even. They always think public speaking is going on stage and just having to speak in front of everybody, and just your anxiety level just goes up, right? So if you could just relax, and we have methods that you could learn and ways that you could practice. If you practice every day, you build your confidence up, and then you'll be better at public speaking. I find this is the main problem that people have.
I have to agree with you because actually previously, like I've spoken to you off camera before, I was very huge introvert and I didn't really know how to speak to people.
Yeah.
It's a process, and just like you said, it's so important for you to build that confidence, but it has to start somewhere, right? There are strategies that you can implement, and then eventually we can all try our best to reduce that anxiety bit by bit until it becomes something very natural to us.
Very correct.
So yeah.
You have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Even simple things like, say for example, doesn't have to do with communication. If you put yourself in uncomfortable situations, say you're a person who can't eat alone, just forcing yourself out, be like, okay, this week I'm going to eat alone. I've done this challenge. You putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation, that will make your brain think differently.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I've done this. This is something that I can do. So you slowly up your game.
Yeah.
Do something simple to just be in uncomfortable situations. And one day, say you're at your office and you meet somebody you've never spoken to, just say hello.
Yeah.
Say how are you, introduce yourself, build a connection there. Just certain things you can just do to just feel more confident later.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
And actually, it hits very close to home when you mentioned about eating alone, because I used to be very scared of that. That used to be one of my fears. But then it's just so important to have like a mindset where you have to push yourself through it, you know?
Yes.
Because you cannot grow if you allow yourself to stay where you are. Just like you said, you have to put yourself in very uncomfortable situations for yourself to grow, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I very much agree with you, and I feel that public speaking is very essential. So I know for a fact that you have like a knack for networking, and you create some very good ties in your line of work. So can you share some tips on how to like network with our viewers and also even for us as well?
Okay, I think the number one tip that I can give you is to always be genuinely interested. Be genuine. When you're speaking to someone, be present.
Right.
Ask great questions. Listen actively. When you're speaking to them, just be there. Listen. And I find that this has helped me in the past.
Yeah, because I've also very recently, because actually I'm very, very fresh to the corporate world. I've recently just graduated, and it's only been a year since I've been in whatever I'm doing now. Recently, I'm about to meet with a connection today, actually, later on tonight. So I learned that networking can actually be very beneficial, and like you said, you have to be genuinely interested, right? And so I feel like I built that connection with this person because both of us have a genuine interest in wanting to know, oh, okay, this is what you can do and this is what I can do, and this, I think if we work together, we can actually create something very nice, you know? And so I really also do believe that it really just has to be genuine, right? Because sometimes people just network to get something out of someone, which can seem very dishonest, you know?
And people can see right through you.
Yeah.
Everybody can see right through you. They know when you're being fake. They know when you're just there for something. But if you share something that has value, that makes you connect with society or give back to the community or help you guys each other grow, then you'll definitely up your game in building relationships.
I like to connect with people, but not exactly pick and choose, but also I'm very careful about the types of connections that I make, because I want to make sure that, oh, okay, this is a person that I will work with in the long term, you know? Yeah.
And you want to have that bond, that relationship,
Yeah.
And also when you network, some people, they network there and then they forget to follow up. So always remember to keep that connection alive.
Yes.
Always check in on that person, ask the person out for coffee, maybe once a month, go for dinner or something, just to keep that connection alive. Because a lot of people sometimes, they network, they do that, hoo-ha, yes, and then after that they forget, and then the connection dies. You need to keep it alive.
Yeah, that's so true, because it's just like any other friendship that you have,
Correct.
basically.
It's an investment, really.
It is, actually. So, we will move on a little bit to the math tutoring side, which I am very curious to know about as well, because wow, isn't it incredible how she is doing so much, and then one of it is math tutoring, which I cannot relate with. I am very not good with numbers, which is why I am doing a lot of things that relate to words. But also with everything that you're doing, you're also a math tutor on the side, right? And you teach for the Einstein Tuition Center, if I'm not mistaken.
I know, that was my tuition center before.
Previously.
We've sold that one off already, yes.
And then now you are doing freelancing.
Yes,
Yeah.
freelance. I don't think I could handle both sides of having that other business. I don't have enough time for that, but I do freelance because I enjoy teaching.
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about teaching. I I love instilling knowledge into somebody, especially children. When they learn something new and they get it, it's very fulfilling.
Right.
So so I've just been teaching, and I learned how to balance both here and there. So it's been quite a journey.
Yeah. Why mathematics? Have you ever...
I've always loved maths.
You've always loved
I've always been a number person.
Oh.
Like even in school, you would see me getting like history and stuff was not my greatest subjects. But now anything to do with numbers, accounts, everything, I'll be getting A1s for those.
Right.
So I really, really enjoy teaching and teaching what I'm good at now.
Having that passion for something that you really enjoy and getting to do it every single day gives me that boost,
Yeah. And you feel like, why you should do something you love because it gives you joy. So why not, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people ask me like, okay, Misha, like how do you do both? But I think if you know how to manage your time, set clear boundaries, prioritize, then you can do actually what you love and also have another business doing actually the thing you love as well. So you can have both, the best of both in life.
Yeah. So I wonder how you manage your time with both of those things that you do.
You just have to prioritize, I think. Prioritize, set clear boundaries. I don't take too many students.
Okay.
Because I don't think I have the time. And I only start teaching after 5 p.m. So I'll do all my work in the morning for Natalie, Kniese, get all that done, and then after 5-6 p.m. then I start teaching. And I don't mind it. Like some people say, aren't you tired? But it's something I enjoy doing, so it's not tiring for me.
Right? Yeah, it's like what they say, like if you love what you do, you never have to work a day in your life.
It's true.
It's true.
It really is.
Yeah.
If you enjoy it, then but if you don't, then you feel like it's work.
Yeah, exactly. How would you describe working in your company as well as the freelancing thing? Would you say that you are in a great environment as well?
Yes, definitely. I think partnering up, we're a very small company. So we started up, we didn't take any investments. It was just me and Natalie during the pandemic thinking, how can we help our communities? So we started doing the online workshops, and thankfully we've grown. I think we learn a lot from each other. Like she's really good at hosting, training. I basically handle the business end of things. Meeting the clients, the accounts, how we're profiting or not profiting, what should we invest in, those sort of things. That's what I do. She handles the training, most of the research on communication. That's all her expertise, but we learn from each other.
Yeah. So because you mentioned that you run the operation side, so basically sort of like the back end of how the company is managed. Like keeping it alive and basically just doing everything in the back. So have you always had a knack for entrepreneurship since you were young?
I would say yes. I think my mom always said, Misha, when you grow up, you're going to become a businesswoman, okay? So I think she's always put it in my brain. I don't know. Maybe that's about communication. But also even when I found myself in high school, in college and uni, I find myself really interested in the business subjects. And I win awards for the competition. So I always found it was very interesting. So to answer your question, I think yes.
Yeah.
Ever since I was young, I think I had a knack for business.
And then you can teach math as well, which just sort of like ties into whatever it is you're currently doing, right?
I guess it helps with the counting of money.
Yeah.
See how we profit, not profit.
Yeah.
So,
I think the fact that you won the award for the best business planning, I think in college back then, business planning competition, right?
Yeah.
In the college.
I did. I won it when I was in Sunway and in RMIT.
I think it really give us a window into or actually give you a window into thinking, oh, okay, maybe I can do this, or maybe this is meant for me. And it ended up being that.
I like to also learn. I love learning something new. Sometimes I don't even know anything to do. Say, for example, with that deal was the cryptocurrencies, for example. I'll just start learning, even though it's not my line, but it's just keeping your mind fresh every time, learning something new every time. It's really good for the brain, good exercise, right? So I think maybe that's why I've won stuff. I'm not sure, but learning always is good.
Yeah, which means that basically you're not just doing it for the sake of doing it. You want to gain something from it as well.
Yeah, and you always want to upskill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is such an important thing I feel that everyone should have, basically like a thing that, you don't just do.
Yeah.
You
always have it in your brain that you always want to improve yourself.
Yeah.
Always. How can I improve myself tomorrow or the next day? But you don't even have to think so far ahead. You don't have to think like, in 5 years time I want to be this the CFO of this company. You can just go, okay, tomorrow I'm going to learn something from XYZ article, and then after that I'm going to explain it to my colleague. Then you're just training your brain to learn and be better, improving, having a growth mindset. I find that it's really, really important.
I agree 100%.
Yes, it's just putting your mind in the right direction. And even sometimes some people will be like, I'm an expert at, say, marketing, and then they don't want to learn, but things are always changing.
Exactly.
Technology is always changing. You always need to learn the new thing.
Yeah.
Like marketing, you need to learn digital marketing, how to create content for people on social media, for example. Before, we didn't have social media, so those are something new people have to learn. So you always have to keep learning.
So, because you've always been the kind of person who really likes to learn, I heard that previously you used to be in the fashion industry before you started being into business. So how was that shift going for you?
Super, super challenging. It was super challenging. Obviously, I was from the fashion industry. Going to the L&D industry, I did not know anything about it. And I didn't even have anyone I knew from the industry. So that was really challenging. It was really tough. I had to learn everything on my own. I read a lot of books. I watched a lot of TED Talks, listened to a lot of podcasts. And thankfully, I think, we've had some hurdles up and down, but I think we're going in the right direction. So now I think once you just challenge yourself, put yourself in, you're going to bound to meet people from the industry, and then slowly you learn.
Yeah, as you said, we have to put ourselves in uncomfortable situations, right?
Exactly.
Although in the beginning it feels like, there are so many things that are holding me back, or things are not as easy as it may seem previously, but then just having to break through before we actually get to sort of, people would say it's the finish line, but it's actually the new beginning, but reaching there actually is the process where it shapes you to grow as much as you can.
It's true. It shapes you as a person. You said the right thing there, yes. And just challenging yourself, it makes you a different person.
Yeah, because I feel it's not an easy thing, right? Especially moving from something that's completely different, because you used to be in fashion, and now it's the L&D, which is,
I used to have to deal with, let's say, for example, B2C to B2B. It's a totally different ballgame.
Right.
Entirely different. So I had to, do a lot of research. I read books on how to market, because last time you had to think about the customer, like one customer. How do I make this one customer happy? Now I'm thinking, how do I make an organization happy? How do I make sure they achieve their goals, or help their staff communicate better? Or how do I get a meeting with them? It's different. It's not like you go out, you set up a booth, and then you get to meet people. It doesn't work that way. You really have to build relationships, get to know, maybe from this person will know this person, then you meet and then you connect, and then hopefully they like you enough to believe in you and your training. Thankfully, we're on track.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Then that means that you've basically sort of covered the basis for both sides, which is a very incredible skill set to have,
Say, okay, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm still growing, I'm still learning.
Of course.
But thankfully, I think I'm doing quite okay.
What do you feel was the most difficult thing about pushing to B2B? Because I feel like that's something kind of interesting.
I think the most difficult thing was having to get the connection. I mean, we do training, so we need to always speak to HR people. And if you don't know somebody in the company or somebody who can help, it's very hard for you to get a meeting. So you need to think of ways of, how do we first know who's the one in charge, who's the one making the decisions. You need to get a meeting with that person. So that was the most challenging thing to do, and especially because both me and Natalie were never in the L&D industry, so everything was a learning process. So, and then sometimes you go for networking events and then you meet CEOs, CFOs, and you speak, you build, and you tell a bit about your company and how you can be valuable to the company and how we can help. I think this definitely has helped us. That's how we've grown and how we've gotten our own businesses and trainings with the companies.
Right. Because I feel then it's very interesting because as a training company, you have to learn how to communicate with people to teach how to communicate to people. Yes. Which I feel like that is a very interesting path for us and for you to walk on, especially.
But you'd be surprised, a lot of companies, they don't really, some people will be like, because they're always so invested in the hard skill. They sometimes be like, do we need to do communication training? But actually, it is super crucial. Because if you make something but you don't know how to sell that microphone, say for example, then your business is gone. You need to know how to communicate. You need how to know to speak eloquently, and people need to like you. You need to know how to be likable. People don't like you, you're not going to get anything. If you think about it, you never buy from somebody you don't like. If you go to a supermarket and you go to A and B, and then the girl from A is a lot nicer than B, you will definitely go to A, even if it's further, because you can't stand the person in B. So your personality, how you communicate, how you speak, these are very important things to master.
It just reminds me of actually my own behaviors personally when I used to go to this one hair salon, and I had to jump through many hair salons previously, but the one that I always keep coming back to was the one with this one lady who would always sit me down and bring me tea and then take care of me, asking me about my day, even though I feel like there are probably some other people who have better skills or maybe know how to handle my hair better, but then it's because she makes me want to keep coming back, and that's why I feel like communication is such a big thing.
She makes you feel warm inside. Okay, I feel safe here.
Yes,
exactly. So some people, when they do your hair and you're like, they're not smiling. Even when they're not smiling, you just don't feel a vibe. You don't want to go back there. But that person loses business.
Exactly.
But hairdressers, like you said, they really know how to, if you go, most of them really know how to communicate with their client, because they know that's how they get their clients to come back.
Exactly. That's a lot having to do with how a business can grow it's always about how can we get people to come back and keep coming back.
Because you don't want just that one deal. You want them to keep coming back. The return customer is more important.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's easier for you to have to build compared to getting a new customer every time.
Let's say if you're an agent or you're a negotiator, you really have to build and nurture a relationship strong enough to have people to at least sort of stay with you or they feel that your abilities or what kind of value that you bring is trusted, and they feel safe that if I make this very, very big decision, a lot of my money is poured into it. At least I know it's going to the right person. At least I know it's going to the right hands.
Correct.
Right?
And also they need to trust you. If they feel you as an agent, especially when you're dealing with big money, if they feel like you don't have my best interests, if I don't trust you, I don't know whether you're going to give me a property that is perfect for me or not. But if you're an agent, you get to know the person, what he likes, what he doesn't like. Is he afraid of heights? Say for example, you're not gonna go and show him units that are on the 30th floor. So you once you understand your client, build that relationship, get to know the person, you'll be able to maneuver your proposal to him and deliver it a lot better.
Yeah, basically, I agree. So, basically, I think one of the most pressing questions that everyone would definitely want to learn, especially when it comes to, like, basically building that relationship with people or building the confidence to speak in public, is, of course, about how to gain that confidence. So, how would you say you have personally built your own confidence?
I actually had to deal with a lot of self-doubt. When I was younger, even though I win these competitions, my theses would be the ones that is approved to show, but I didn't have a lot of confidence. I felt like I was never good enough. That's why I think I kept learning and learning and learning, but I always felt like, am I good enough? And you know that voice in your head that's like, are you really? So I read a lot of books on personal development books. Say Tony Robbins, I listened to a lot of his podcasts and his videos on how to grow. I learned from these people and how to quiet the noise, A simple thing that I do is, okay, I have these 3 habits that I do. And I must accomplish these 3 things. I need to meditate or manifest every morning. So that keeps my mind calm. And I need to get a good workout in that, increases your serotonin, your endorphin, so you feel good for the rest of the day. And I also have to learn or read something. So I started off doing just 10 minutes before, you can do 5 minutes or 10 minutes, up to you if you're starting off. But your 10 minutes never becomes 10 minutes. It's always like half an hour, but just to make sure you're doing it. So you put your mind, it's 10 minutes, I can do that. Because a lot of people are like, I have such a busy day, that they forget to do the simple things to make sure you're better every day.
Yeah.
So these are the things that has helped me build my own confidence.
That's great, because it doesn't always have to be something so big. Like you said, you can always start with 5 to 10 minutes, and then it's something that's achievable.
Yes.
You don't just go, okay, I'm gonna do 1 hour of 1 hour of something, 1 hour of reading, intense reading, and then you burn out. You don't want to do it the next day anymore.
It's true.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't want to do it. If you read this book, Atomic Habits by James Clear, it teaches you how to build better habits and how to stop bad habits. Like he always says, make sure it's something rewarding, that you get a reward after that. Then you most likely repeat the process, and make sure it's not too overwhelming. Do something small. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you can do that. It's 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
It's so easy to do. So just have that in your brain, and every day, if you do it every day, then you increase your skill tremendously.
I feel that because eventually I feel people want to see immediate results. It's the instant gratification.
Yes.
And to grow as a person, it doesn't have to be like that. You shouldn't have that kind of mindset. Although you can have that instant gratification, as in you do this one thing and then you reward yourself. In the long run, even though you cannot see it, you have to remember that there is something that is lying ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why you can also have a habit tracker. I actually have a habit tracker. So I write my 3 skills that I do, and I have to tick it. That ticking of something is also an instant gratification. You'll be like, oh, I finished.
Yeah.
You feel good because you feel like, okay. And then you look after a week, you're like, okay, all my boxes are ticked. You actually feel good.
Yeah.
There was actually a study made. Group A and Group B, I think they had to write the perfect essay. So Group A had to write the perfect essay. They didn't have to write every day. But Group B had to write an essay every single day. And I think after 3 months, they evaluated which group did better. Which group do you think did better?
I assume it would be A?
It was Group B, the group that did something every day, not the perfect one. But they actually, if they repeat something every day, they just do something simple, you get better at it every day. Practice is so important.
That is true.
Yeah. So even with our trainings, we make sure, say you go for a 2-day training, we make sure we implement like an after learning after that. So we have like say a 30-day challenge after the training, so that whatever they've learned from the training, they can implement it straight away into their daily lives. So I feel like that helps, because if you go and then you learn and then you don't implement it, no point. You need to do it every day for you to actually see some kind of result.
Yeah, I agree. Now that you mention it, I feel that sometimes people go to, let's say for example, like conferences, you know, they will probably write down anything they've learned, and then after that it's just there.
Yeah.
The knowledge is just,
And then it's kept away somewhere in your bookshelf somewhere and never looked at again.
exactly. And it's so important for you to, even before going into, like, let's say you go to a conference, before you step into the hall, you have a mindset where, oh, okay, this is what I want to learn, and these are the kind of skills that I want to take and use. And I feel like, yeah, you're right. It's very important to not just learn, but to also
Apply the knowledge.
Yes. The application part is something that people always forget, but that is the most important thing.
It's the most important.
Yeah.
Post-training, very important.
Okay, so I have enjoyed this conversation so far, but also
Thank you.
I would like to have a bit of a challenge for you,
Okay.
which is I would like to ask you to give you your best elevator pitch about yourself.
Oh dear. Okay. Okay, so if, according to Natalie, you always start your elevator pitch with a why.
Okay.
Okay, let me get into character. It's again a bit.
It's okay, you can take your time.
Okay. Okay. So my name is Misha Shah. I have a passion to help people grow and learn. I have a business. Sorry. Can you repeat that again?
Of course. Yes, take your time.
Making me nervous. Challenge.
Should I look away?
Okay, my name is Misha Shah. I have a passion to see people grow and learn. I have a communications training company called Natalie, Kniese, where our aim is to build powerful speakers. So if you want to up your communication game, feel free to contact me, or also visit our website at www.nataliekniese.com.
That was great. That's something that definitely I'll try to learn and do for
Not
myself.
the first time. I was like,
That's
got me
okay.
a bit nervous there.
That's okay. People make mistakes, right? It's okay.
Yes.
We jump back, right? Okay, so that was incredible. Thank you so much for taking up that challenge.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so another thing to get even deeper into sort of like the public speaking side, which is about, would you like to give us like a simple exercise for us to improve our public speaking?
Okay, sure. There's one thing that we do in our training. So a lot of people have a lot of anxiety. So before you're doing a presentation or a proposal, sometimes an interview, you know, I'll meditate before, but you can also do this thing called box breathing.
Okay,
So you want to do it with me?
sure, why not?
So what we do is we breathe in for 4,
Okay,
stop for 4, breathe out for 4, stop for 4, then breathe in for 4, and then you repeat the process. You do this for about 7 to 8 times.
Okay.
It should lower your cortisol and make you feel a lot calmer. And you know, once your anxiety is gone, you'll be a lot better when you want to present or do a proposal, for example.
I think that's a great practice that people can start trying to do. Especially, I feel like people have a very high anxiety right before they have to like step on stage or, you know, start
Yes.
speaking. And
Even before this interview, I had high anxiety too.
did you implement the box
Yes, I
breathing?
did. Make sure I'm morning, meditate, breathe.
Because I also I sometimes implement some sort of like breathing techniques even for myself, because I tend to get very tense, you know,
Yeah.
before doing certain things that make me very nervous, right? And so I feel like I would love to add on one thing about breathing techniques, which actually sometimes I used to have this sort of misconception that, you know, when you're trying to calm yourself down using breathing techniques and stuff, your thoughts are still going to be sort of flooded, but then you need to start focusing on your breathing itself, you know. And that's one thing that I used to not understand why people would tell me, oh, you need to breathe, or like you need to start doing this breathing technique. I didn't understand why I should do it in this certain way, because why am I still anxious, or like sometimes I feel like so many thoughts are still in my head, so I feel like it's not working, but it's because I'm doing it wrong, you know, basically. Not to be so particular about it, but it's because you know, when you breathe, you don't just do it for the sake of breathing. Of course, you are helping you're relaxing whatever it is, the tension that is going on within yourself, but it's also that you try to like take a break from your thoughts. So as you breathe, you hear yourself, you feel the movements, you feel everything, or like completely forget your surroundings and then just focus on yourself, and then try to break away from that, from those tense moments, from that anxiety, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like after I've learned that, now I understand why these breathing techniques are so important. I feel that the audience should definitely know that, you know, it's not just about the breathing.
Yes, being focused and actually feeling every inhale and every exhale. Because sometimes your mind runs, right? You think about this, think about that. But when you're actually really focused, and that's why you do it for 8 to 9 times practice, then it actually helps you calm down. It actually helps you be more present. So that will definitely help reduce anxiety.
So as we speak about anxiety and, you know, things that are basically sort of these obstacles that hold us back from doing things that we want to do, or like, you know, things like public speaking and stuff, besides that, we normally face a lot of other challenges in our life, you know, on the daily. So especially for entrepreneurs like yourself, what kind of challenges do you have to face, or at least what is one most significant challenge that you remember until today that has stuck out to you or has made an impact to you?
I think the biggest challenge that I had to achieve was dealing with my self-doubt. I had a lot of self-doubt. I didn't believe in myself so much when, especially in my 20s. You know, you just new to the job world. You were doing university, and then it's something totally different, right? And I didn't believe in myself. I always felt that I was not good enough. So, and I knew that was stopping me from thriving. I knew, and I was like, how do I get rid of this feeling? So I started reading a lot of books, listening to a lot of Tony Robbins. I started meditating. I started putting myself in a lot of uncomfortable situations. I think, was it last year, I made myself go on a solo trip, which I was actually really nervous about. Went for a retreat in Bali, which made me understand myself a lot more. I learned how to quiet the noise. Instead of telling myself what I'm bad at, I started, okay, every day I wake up, what am I good at? What are my strengths? What are my strengths? What are my strengths? So I always focus on the positive. So that has actually helped me a lot in building my own confidence. Because if I didn't believe in myself, nobody was going to believe in me. And that was really stopping me from growing. So I really had to figure out how to be better at this and how to be more confident. I find that has helped. Even doing my habits. You know, it's just a way of life. You know, make sure you're practicing, improving yourself every time. Before, I didn't even like reading, to be honest. But I made sure that's how you learn something, right? It's how you grow. You want to learn something new. You listen to podcasts, you watch TED Talks. That's how you grow. So thankfully, I have overcome my self-doubt. Sometimes that noise is always there, that irritating person who tells you no, but you just tell him to shut up.
Yeah.
Tell her to shut up. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I think it's so important for us to be gentle to ourselves, you know, because we are our own biggest support too. Like you said, like sometimes you don't need, it's not, you don't necessarily, even if you don't have anyone else around you, but you have yourself, and that is so important. If you don't like yourself, then how are you supposed to move forward? You know, it will, you are your own biggest obstacle as well, you know. So once you break through that, you can become your biggest cheerleader, basically. So I feel that I totally agree, and I'm very proud to hear that, you know, you've escaped that, you know.
Thank you.
Broken through.
Many years, but
Yeah.
you know, at least I'm here now.
It's not an easy process, but it's manageable, and
You can do it.
Yeah.
Definitely can be done. You just have to push yourself.
Yeah. It's just that one step that you have to take
Correct.
that leads you to where you need to be.
Correct.
Okay, so we're wrapping up our session for today. So I have one last question, which is, can you give our aspiring leaders and entrepreneurs one piece of advice that you wish someone gave you back in the day?
I think it is to always, always, always believe in yourself. Even if you feel that you're not good enough, just believe in yourself. If you want to do something, just try it. If you fail, that means you learned something. And just keep repeating the process. Keep improving yourself. Keep wanting to be better. Have a growth mindset. That, I think, would be the number one thing I would tell entrepreneurs and business leaders.
That is a lovely note to end it on. So thank you so much, Misha,
Thank
for
you so much
your
for having
time,
me.
and yes, for sharing your journey and all of your wonderful insights. I really genuinely, from person to person, I also had a very nice time conversing with you on this.
So did I. Thank you so
Thank you
much
so
for this
much.
interview.
Of course, and thank you for being our lovely guest today for our CxO podcast.
My pleasure.
Okay. And with that note, I would like to end our episode of CxO. So be sure to leave a comment on whatever thoughts you have on our podcast today. And of course, please join us on our next episode for more extraordinary content by C-levels, marketers, entrepreneurs, and more. So thank you so much to our listeners for tuning in, and we hope that you had fun and that you learned something and you've left this podcast feeling very fun and very refreshed. So be sure to subscribe to IQI Global YouTube channel, and you can also listen to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and also Google Podcasts as well. So we will see you on the next CxO Real Talk Breakfast Show. Until then, take care.
Take care.